What's up, guys? It's your host Spartanic Arts DxD back with another high school DxD related video, and today we have What If Issei Was Betrayed, Part 8. Now, this part is an absolute banger, so if we want to hit 300 to 400 likes, that'd be absolutely amazing. We're also approaching Issei's reunion with Rias Gremory, and hopefully he beats up whoever her boyfriend is, which we know who he is, Devlin, but he's a loser, and I don't like him. But let's go ahead and continue the story. I cannot wait for him to get his revenge. It's going to be absolutely amazing. Hopefully he beats the crap of everybody in the barrage realistically. But without any further intrusion, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and thank my balance breakers and Juggernaut Drive members. VR Wolf, Lachlan Yates, Cool Ninja 12, Dark Phoenix, Anthony Lewis, Zeki 2000, Nuga Booga Uga, Zerafal Leviathan, Night Ammo, Scott Lowry, Abdreet Kensri, and Native Dark Wolf. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker and Juggernaut Drive member. Seriously, I cannot appreciate you guys enough. And also, huge shout out to all the boys. Like, for real, thank you for liking all the videos and stuff like that. I really do appreciate it. If you guys want to see What If Issei Was Alone or What If Issei Was Deceived, go ahead and head over to my Patreon. Go shout out to my Patreon members. Smells Noise, Lachlan Yates, Godkiller, Elton, Mark Bacon, Jake Shirley 2, and Logan Kolar. Thank you so much for becoming a Patreon member. Seriously, guys, I'm not going to hold you for too long. Without any further intrusion, let's go ahead and get into What If Issei Was Betrayed, Part 8. Chapter 10. Now we're in the underworld, just FYI. In the Mao Lucifer, the four Maos were meeting, and with them were the demons that were a part of the DxD team, along with the volley team. This included the Parages of Sona Citri, Siki Beria Garrus, Syra Orgbiel, and Rias Gremory. In addition to those Parages, there were also Riser Phoenix with his sister, Ravel Phoenix, along with Devlin Biel and his Parage. They were discussing the mission that they had sent the two of their own. So we haven't had any words, Rzek says? No. We will have to contact Yaka Sedona, Ajuka says. I wouldn't mind going to Kyoto again to see Yasa-chan, Serafal says. I'm not sure if she would give you a warm welcome as before, Ajuka said. At that, Serafal did frown. Ever since Issei's disappearance, some factions kept their distance from the demons. Although the Red Dragon Emperor was never mentioned, it was quite apparent to the leaders to why they kept their distance. Suddenly, a magic circle appeared on Sona's ear as the Citri Harris began to speak. Yes, I understand. I'll get things ready. Yes, I'll let them know, Sona replied. While the one-sided conversation was happening, Volley pulled out a burner phone that buzzed. Opening a phone, all he said was a text that said, "Guess we'll have to talk." It made him smirk. Of course, this was noticed by Devlin, who never liked the White Dragon Emperor. "What's so funny?" Devlin said. "Nothing that is of your concern," Volley replied. "Well, if it makes you a little smirk like that, surely you have some information," Devlin replied. "Oh, I do, but as I said, it's none of your concern," Volley replied. "Maybe I'll have to beat it out of you," Devlin replied. "In the past year, you've never beaten me nor pushed me to use my Imperial Juggernaut Overdrive," smirking at the BL hair. "You should be grateful that I use my balance breaker against you, so I end our little tryst much quicker," Volley said. "Quit antagonizing him, Volley," Rias replied. "Or what? Going to send one of your knights against me? If you even still have one," Volley replied. That hurt Rias a bit. Ever since the Zenovia incident, both her and Devlin were looked down on. Despite seeing the footage, she didn't believe that Lunar would do such a thing without cause. It was very laughable how she defended him because he was Asia's boyfriend. It greatly soured her relationship with Kiba after that. So what was that?" Serafal replied. "Mao Leviathan, please refrain from calling me that, and once I ask again that you speak to me in a professional manner, Sona said. It did hurt Serafal a little bit, but she understood. Sona had nothing against her sister. She was not involved in her friend leaving the faction. She was just annoyed with the childish nickname at being called that in a business setting. If they were alone, she would have no problem with that nickname." "That was Yakuza," Sona said, turning to Riser. "They found them." That statement alone caused many eyes to widen, as it was known that some of Riser's species had gone missing, along with some servants. It wasn't just them, but servants of the other clans have disappeared, even those that came from extinct clans. "You're serious? Are you sure?" Riser said, walking up to Sona with Ravel and Yubaluna by his side. "Yes, you are welcome to come with me, along with your Parage, as they are your pieces. Rhea, Loop, Subaki, you will come with me. Sanji, you're in charge. Head to the hospital and have 3 rooms ready, or just one big room to keep them all together." "I'm coming too," Rias says. "That's negative, Rias." And before you say that Kiba is your piece, it was that he requested that you don't come, Sona says. Rias frowned and clenched her fist. She knew that her relationship with Kiba was soured, but it shocked her that he didn't want to see her. Although that was a lie on Sona's part, as Yakuza never mentioned anything about Kiba, Sona just didn't want to travel with Rias. Rias, it's alright. Maybe nothing bad happened to them, Akano said. Rias nodded. Although Gasper was no longer part of her barrage, she still did care for him. However, every time she said that, the damper just snorted in disbelief, and she knew why. He looked up to Issei, and her infidelity cost her greatly, as support for the Gremory clan was greatly reduced. It did not help that the Phoenix clan also sued them, as they could not use Issei and his image for their gain. They tried to refute this, as they believed that Issei was still part of the Gremory clan, and she hoped to speak with him about the future of their relationship. Sadly, Ajuka presented the pawn pieces to her, and because Issei was Ravel's fiancé still, the Phoenix clan gained ownership over the Opie Dragon, now changed to Crimson Dragon, and all of its assets. The Phoenix clan did compromise and gave the copyrights of the Switch Princess and any other character that her Parage played to the Gremory clan, but that was it. Her relationship with the others soured, and it was such a mess that Ruinous Gremory woke up from her slumber. She had temporarily removed Rias as the Harris because, unlike her and Issei, she and Devlin failed the Trials of Connection, which is a Gremory clan tradition. Despite failing, she continued a relationship with Devlin, and Rias gave her the ultimatum. Either they passed the trials, or she would be removed as Harris. Of course, she took Runa's threat lightly, as promptly removed the Gremory clan council. Her relationship would only be accepted if she and Devlin passed the trials, or Devlin beat Issei in combat. This made her happy, and she would kill two birds with one stone. She would be engaged to Devlin and speak with Issei, hoping they could move past this. Devlin even surprised her with a mansion, and then discovered that it was the former Hyodo mansion. The Hyodos had left and were never seen again. It infuriated Devlin because he overpaid for the mansion when he didn't need to. She reported the disappearance, but the photos of her kissing Devlin at the celebration, the public knew she cheated, and thus the Gremory family's reputation began to fall. It just kept falling after she stupidly traded away Ras Visa, and how Zenobia was let go and didn't help. She was lucky that her revoked status was kept under wraps and only was portrayed as the Harris for appearances. She was glad about two things. It was her spat with Grafia. She had insulted the older woman, believing her cheating on her brother. The reason she was glad is that it had reinforced their relationship and gave them another baby. However, she would never be able to see her 1-month niece, as Grafia believed that she would be a bad example to the kids and make matters worse. Zerzex agreed and refrained from speaking to his sister much. The other thing that she was glad about was that she recruited Akia Kiryu, who was Azia's friend, as her bishop to replace Gasper. Akia was also trained in magic by Lavinia Rennie, though Lavinia did stop after learning that Akia joined with Rias. Akia also started a relationship with Lunar, making them a throuple with Azia. If you'll excuse me, I must be going, Sona said. She gave a kiss to Sanji to take care of yourself. You too, Sanji said, before instructing the rest of the Sea Trade Parage to head to the hospital. Oh, and Lucifer-sama, Sona says. Yakuza-sama says that Gasper has come data that you and Beelzebub-sama would like to investigate, and also that they caught one. A necromorph? Ajuka says, really? That mission was a success with major incentives, Ajuka replied. It seems that way. We should bring in Shamazi and Michael, along with Odin if he's available. Sona-san, tell Kiba and Gasper they may come with Yakuza Sona to the meeting for now. Let them relax. Going through a base of those things must have taken a toll on them. I'll let them know in Rias. I'll send them your regards, Sona said. With that, she, along with Rhea, Loop, Tsubaki, Riser, and his Parage, left in a magic circle, and she also gave a subtle wave to her sister. Rasvaisa and Sekibero gave a subtle nod to each other, while Zenobia breathed a sigh of relief that her two friends were all right. Devlin went to comfort his girlfriend with Akino and the rest of the Parages. Zerzex just looked at the scene with a little sadness, not for his sister, but because he allowed it that night. It was something he never got over, and when Grafia told him that she had been in contact with Issei, he was elated to find him, but Grafia shut that down. It was why he recited any demons from searching for the Red Dragon Emperor. The leaders only know he was alive because Michael investigated the sacred gear system and noted that the boosted gear hadn't changed users. Seraphol, Zerzek says, please contact the other leaders so we can go over the information that Gasper may have found. Of course, Seraphol replied, as we prepared a communication circle to speak with Gabriel. The meeting is adjourned, Zerzek says, allowing the demons and their parages to leave. Do you think that we will get some answers? Ajuka replied, I hope so. At least then we will know what we're up against, Zerzek said. Indeed, Ajuka replied. Well, you should go find your family and give them good news, I suppose, Ajuka says. I suppose you're right. We'll have to wait to hear from Sona then, Zerzek's replied. Now, we're back in Kyoto with Issei and all of them. Blitz and Flare arrived at the pathway, where they were summoned and Issei whistled them to halt. The two familiars were aware of their injured passengers and stopped soothly as they could. Since they were rushing head back, despite their careful barking, Kiba still winced as Gasper held on to him in the cat lollies. They were met by Yakuza Invigold and some yokai medical specialists. Hey, we have one here, Issei says, handing off Mira to one of the specialists. Invigold, help Kiba. He's got a cut on his side. Invigold had her hair in a ponytail so it wouldn't get in the way as Blitz lowered his head gently. Gasper handed off Illy to Issei while taking Nail down from Blitz and handing them off to the other specialists. Invigold was peeling off, and he clothed that Kiba used to wrap his wound because the blood dried. It mattered to his skin and slowly bled. Invigold, her water magic to get the clothes and ease off so they could clean the wound. Can you turn on your side, Kiba? Invigold said. Yeah. Wincing as he turned from his non-injured side. It gave Invigold an easier time to clean the wound and assess the damage. Yakuza-sama, the specialist said, handing her a few vials. Here, these are phoenix tears. They should seal up the wound, passing the vials to Gasper, who Invigold in administering them. Damn, how's it looking? Issei said. Had it not been for the phoenix tears, Kiba-san would have needed stitches. As she listened to Kiba's breathing begin to calm down. I contacted Sona. She should be in the castle most likely, Yakuza said. Head back. We'll bring Kiba with us, Issei replied. Yakuza gave a nod as she and the remaining specialists went back to the castle to greet the Trihexa. He's good, but he shouldn't move too much. He may feel the phantom pain of the cut, Invigold says. Okay, Invigold, could you? Issei replied, gesturing to his bloodied hands, which she washed away to clean them. Thank you. Okay, Gasper, you're with Blitz. Keep watch of Kiba, Flare. Did you see anyone around during the recon? The raptor shook its head negatively, and Issei patted its head as he let out a sigh. Oh, okay. Take a rest. You can go back to the Ritamaru. I'll be sure to treat you and Blitz next time. Thanks, Issei said. The raptor gave a soft growl and nudged Issei's side of his head with its own. Issei gave it an armed hug before stepping as a magic circle appeared underneath the raptor. In a plum of flames that lit up the night sky, the raptor was gone. Returned back to Issei's original familiar, Issei and Invigold waved goodbye to the raptor as it left. Okay, Blitz, let's move slowly, Issei said, patting the crocodile as the group moved forward to the castle. So where's Minerva? She stayed behind to look over the kids. Invigold said, I think Lilith-chan is starting to warm up to her. That's good, Issei replied. It was rather entertaining. What do you mean? Well, Lilith-chan was blasting magic attacks at Minerva at random times, and she did so with a smile, but it seems that Minerva liked it. She never got mad. She was smiling and she teleported each attack S-Will, which I think impressed Lilith-chan that she kept doing. Invigold said, I see, deadpanning at the thought of Lilith and Minerva's game of magic tag. But they still had fun, Invigold says, smiling as if it was a common thing that the two did. Gasper, how is Kiba? Issei said, his breathing sounds more stable and he's resting. Gasper said, that's good. Guess we averted one crisis and seems like Sona is here, along with some others. Sensing the Trihexa as they approach the castle, Invigold-chan, can you handle escorting them the rest of the way? I'm sure Tsubaki would want to make sure her boyfriend is okay. Of course, I'm assuming that you would like to look presentable when you see your friends. Invigold said, yeah, but we also be prepared for a fight. Whatever Gasper found on the hard drive in those files, I'd want to know. We can figure out these necromorphs are coming from, or better yet, who is making them. See you guys in a few minutes. As he gave a kiss to Invigold and transported himself to his room in the palace since they were close by. I suppose we shall make a main entrance, Invigold said. I guess so, Gasper replied. Did you use your shadows like I told you, Gasper? Yeah, it actually helped with capturing one of the necromorphs. You captured one. Issei-senpai said it would help us with understanding them. You know, like biology where you dissect a frog to understand its anatomy, Gasper said. Invigold simply raised her eyebrow in confusion as Gasper could see she didn't understand the analogy. I guess you never did any dissecting, Gasper replied. I have, just not that of a frog, Gasper. I did know they did that, but I have some dissecting of some necromorphs when I go with Issei-san and Minerva on the base runs, so we could combat them better. I see. Hey, Imiko-san, I don't mean to pry, but Issei-senpai told us that you're familiar as a Hydra, and I am curious. Since I know Issei-senpai doesn't have any pieces, or rather he hasn't received his yet, you don't seem like a stray. What is your clan? Just curious. Hearing the question, even Kiba awoke from his nap and listened to the conversation. And he was also curious about what clan she was from. Oh, I usually don't really say it to people, but you seem like good friends with Issei-san, and I hope we can be good friends, so I'll tell you. My full name is Invigiled Leviathan, descendant of the original Mao Leviathan. Damn, we should have known, Kiba said, startling at Gasper. Kiba-senpai, you're up, and what do you mean we should have known? Sorry, Invigiled-chan, but when we questioned Issei-kun about you, he told us that you were similar to an ally of ours, Kiba said. Folly Lucifer, you mean? Invigil replied. Yes, and he was right. Issei-kun gave us the answer, we just didn't look deep enough, and we knew that you were half demon, half human like he was. But we didn't think that you were related to one of the original Maos. It wouldn't be a surprise if the underworld would want you back, but you were most likely committed to Issei-kun, so they may try not to wed you off. Yeah, the council has been adamant about the next generation. They tried to engage Volley to some Harris, but he declined them since he has his own partners, although they are human, so they may try to get those Harrises with Issei-senpai should not return. I understand. It's why I keep my identity to those I can consider a friend. I have gotten to know you, so I'm comfortable with telling you, but I know Issei-san has other friends, and since I have not gotten to know them personally, I'd like to keep my last name concealed, and I hope I can trust you to do the same. It's no problem for me, Kiba replied, grunting as he sat up. He winced slightly because of the phantom at the pain. His mind thinking that the wound was still there, until he felt his side. I need to remember that the Phoenix Tears healed me. Yeah, and don't worry, Vigil-san, your secret is safe with us. Thank you for trusting us with it, Gasper said. Offering them a smile that reminded them of Azia back when she wasn't so corrupted to who she is now. You might want to get that off Blitz. Or here, Vigil says. Gasper helped Kiba off the crocodile as Kiba felt from the wound that was no longer there, having to convince his mind that was healed, so Immigold came to offer her goodbyes. I enjoyed our walk tonight. You can go home now, okay? Immigold says, patting the crocodile's head as Blitz nuzzled its head from her abdomen to take care. She stepped back as the magic circle under the crocodile. It gave a soft growl to Kiba and Gasper, who waved back as the crocodile gave them what looked to be a nod. Giving its goodbyes to its former passengers, there was a blue flash and the crocodile was gone. I suppose we should go inside, Yakuza-san. There would be visitors when we left to meet up with you, Immigo says. Yeah, time to face the music, as he sensed said visitors. The trio made their way to the medical wing of the palace, and upon entering, there was a shout of Kiba's name, followed by a thud of groan from the blonde prince. Tsubaki-san, please get off me, Kiba said. He was lying on the ground, Tsubaki was on top, hugging him tightly and kissing his face after she tackled him. I thought I lost you. Are you hurt? Maybe. After all, you just tackled me to the ground. Sorry. She got up to help her boyfriend up as well. Hello to you too, Gasper-kun. Hello, Tsubaki. I'm sorry I don't believe we met, trained Immigold. Since Immigold left with Yakuza before Sona arrived. It's no problem. My name is Tsubaki Shinra, holding her hand out. Invigold, shaking her hand. I'm with her, pointing at Minerva, who was watching with Yokoso, Orphis, Lilith, Kanu, and Sona. I see you both made it out today, Sona says. Hello, Sona-senpai. Kiba-senpai did have a wound on his side, but... What? Now looking at Kiba to see the blood on his side. What happened? I thought you said you weren't hurt, Tsubaki says. I'm not. Invigold-san cleaned the wound and helped me apply a few Phoenix Tears to it. So it's just a matter of reminding myself that it's not there, hence why I felt phantom pain about it, Kiba said. I see. In that case, as she produced a new skirt for Kiba, and from magic, I suggest you change out of that bloody mess. It's not hygienic. Thank you, Kiba replied, taking the dress shirt from her. Is there a room that I could change in Yakuza-san? Yes, Kano. Please guide them. Okay, follow me, Kano replied, as she took Kiba and Tsubaki to an empty room. Sona-senpai, did you bring Riser with you? Yes, they are with the pieces you found, and I have suggested a meeting to go over what you found. Okay, did anyone else come with you, Sona-senpai? Oh, yes, Rhea is in there, healing them. So we can take them to the Seatree Hospital. Were you expecting Tomo to be here? Are you going to accept her feelings? Sona says, having a little smirk. She felt more relaxed ever, and she gave up a title as the student council president. Another plus of becoming engaged to Genshiro Sanji was that it's changed her demeanor. so she could get more involved with her Paraj, being able to understand their gossip as well as know who they were interested in, so she could help them. No, I was just asking, Gasper said, blushing. As a mention of Tomo, he was aware that she liked him, and frankly, he wouldn't mind going out with her. He just didn't know how to accept her feelings. It was so much easier with Valerie, since they knew each other since childhood. He never told Issei this, but Irina had a hand in helping him with that, since their relationship to Issei was similar. I'm just joking, Gasper, Sona said, which made the vampire sigh in relief, until she added, but you will see her when you return to the underworld. But if I may ask, how did you know they were there? Sona says. Riser's pieces? Gasper replied. We didn't, but we found the files of all clans of the underworld, even the extinct ones, as he summoned a file with the Citri name on it and handed it to Sona. Sona took a file and began to read it. While her face may have looked passive to the trained eye, her eyes widened slightly. Is that all you found? Tsubaki said, returning with Kiba, who knew and addressed her as she had not heard the conversation while Kiba was changing. No, just part of it, Gasper said. What Gasper has given me is the enemy's information that they have on the Citri clan, and apparently there's files on other clans as well. Sona says, well, that is troubling, Minerva replied. Oh, greetings, Minerva-san, Gasper said. I see you two came out all right, despite your injury. If I may ask, how did it happen? I was taken by surprise by one of them and didn't sense it, Kiba said. Well, since they are technically dead, they are hard to detect, Minerva says. Yeah, I learned that the hard way, Kiba replied. We did detect some that had magnet signatures, but they are likely to be dead in the explosion of the base, Gasper says. That explains the news report of the earthquake in the area, Yakuza replied. It was an underground base. Minerva and Invigold winced at the thought of an underground base. Sounds like you had an experience with these, Sona said. Yes, not a pleasant one, Invigold said. The deeper you go, the more catastrophic they can become. Minerva replied, well, we didn't have to go so deep, and we were lucky thanks to our help. Help? Sona said. They mean Issei, Orph replied, who remained silent listening to the conversation. That caused Sona and Tsubaki's eyes to widen. Issei? Yeah. They came by yesterday when Yakuza-san was debriefing us. I thought he visits bi-monthly, Sona says, turning to Yakuza. They were on holiday break and decided to make a surprise visit. Even I was surprised when they showed up. Where is Oni-chan? Lilith said. He's currently showering. Lilith-chan, you wouldn't want to get blood on you like you before you, Invigold says. Lilith did her best imitation of Kano and pouted, as she remembered when she and Kano ran to hug Issei after he destroyed a base and didn't listen to his warning. As a result, they had to bathe to get stench and feel of blood up their bodies and hair. Well, we can't wait for him to join us, Yakuza says, I suppose. Also, Kiba and Gasper, Lucifer-sama said that you don't need to rush back to the underworld and should relax here in Kyoto. This brought a sigh of relief to the two. After today's events, they wouldn't mind the relaxation. Wait, wouldn't Rias come? Kiba says. No, Sona replied. I may have lied and said that you didn't want to see her. It must have hurt her feelings a bit. I could see the sadness in her eyes, considering that your relationship with her has been soured. It's no one's fault but their own. It's kind of annoying how selfish they really are. They wanted Issei-kun to change, but never had the decency to change themselves. And rather than talking with him, they blatantly cheated on him at that celebration, Kiba said. Well, she was spilled at a young age. The attitude fell into her Paraj members, Tsubaki replied. Some of them, but not all of us. At least Inovia is working on righting her wrongs, Kiba said. I hear, and she was a great choice as student council president. My Paraj members were pleased with her tendency, was Tsubaki nodding in agreement, Sona said. Yeah, Issei-senpai said she was proud of her for taking her responsibility seriously. As he said as she performed would affect his friends. I'm guessing he informed by those he talked to such signs on Araya-san? Tsubaki says, did you bring her by the way? Kiba replied, yes. Since both she and Ravel are here, it should be interesting. Interesting for what? As she exited the room that missing phoenix pieces. Dinner, my dear, Yakuza said. Answering before any of them could say anything, could you inform Riser and his pieces to join us? Oh, of course, Reyes said. Since his pieces need some rest, I was able to check on them. There are no irregularities that I could find, but we still need them to take to the Citri hospital. I understand. Sanji is having staff prepare a room for them, Sona said. Okay, I'll inform Riser-san, Rhea said, as she went back into the room to speak with the Phoenix Barrage. A few minutes later, they came out, the majority of the Phoenix Barrage having tears in their eyes or just finished crying upon seeing Gasper and Kiba. Riser and Ravel gave them each hugs for finding Miri, Ilina, and Nell. You shouldn't thank us, Riser-chan, Kiba said. Why not? Do you know how worried I was? I nearly thought they were dead. Same. It was hard to keep a straight face being the student council president as well. I didn't know how you did, Sona-sama, Ravel said. Well, we got lucky and got help. Gasper replied. Help? Riser said. From an old friend. We'll tell you over dinner, Kiba said. This should be an interesting story. Wiping her tears, Ravel said. Now let's head to the dining hall. Before she turns to the specialists to secure the room, don't let anyone in. Those are valuable allies in there. Yes, Yakuza, the specialist said. With a nod, Yakuza led the group to the dining hall so they could eat. She was sure that Kiba and Gasper were famished. From what she could tell, Gasper was used as support as he didn't have any signs that have battled, and if he did, it was from afar. For Kiba, the evidence was on his former top. But for now that he changed and washed up, it would be hard to tell. She figured Issei got the majority of the action, hence why he needed to shower fully. She was amazed how they didn't detect his scent on his jacket and shirt when he used keep the two of the patients, but then again, it's really not common for demons to have a keen sense of smell. Now with Issei, after he had teleported into his room, he immediately stripped off his remaining bloody clothing and got into the shower to speak to Drake about how he should handle things. So what do you plan to do? Drake says. Nothing. I can see my loved ones again. I don't need to hide anymore, Issei said, as he let the water cascade down on him. Ha! Very well, Drake says. However, they should not expect me to be their weapon. I'm free. I can do what I want. If they come after me, and those I care about, then we will burn them to the ground, Drake says. Exactly. And we're not their jester either. As the cold water began to steam on Issei's body, temperature increased drastically before he calmed down. At least my friends can visit me now. Always need to look for the positives and the negatives. You noticed it, right? Drake says. What? You mean how Gremory isn't here? Yeah, I noticed, and it's good. She just ruined the moment, Issei says, as he washed himself of any blood that may have time. True. Reunions are usually supposed to be joyful, Drake says. With some drama, Issei said, rinsing himself, but I do need to do something first. Yes, I'm sure she'll be thrilled, Drake says. Of course she will. Though she may feel hesitant about it, Minerva, I think it'll be alright. Ah, yes, but it shows how much she cares. Yeah, Issei replied, shutting off the water and stepping out of the shower. He did need a towel to dry himself, and he casually increased his body temperature like before, steaming the water off him, but still his hair was slightly wet. Now dry, he used some unscented lotion to moisturize the skin, and it was the backlash of heating himself up. It would dry out his skin considerably. Since it was dinner time and he had guests, he figured he'd dress himself up a little, wearing black pants and some gold accents, along with the Categorian with the black waistcoat that was kind of styled like a yukata with red and gold accents. Once dressed up, he checked the time on his phone. He figured that it was late enough. So scrolling through his contacts, he selected one of the hit call and pressed the phone to his ear. He listened to the phone ring, but he had the third ring. He heard a voice that he was waiting for. Hello, Issei-kun? Hey, Eri-chan. Catch you at a bad time? Issei said. No, not yet anyway. Helping Ka-san with a restaurant. That's nice. Anyway, I'm in Kyoto, and guess what? I went on a mission with Kiba and Gasper. Issei said. Whoops, excuse me. Wouldn't the factions know where you are? Irina said. He could hear the frown in her voice. You know, I visit Kyoto every couple of months. I was just doing a surprise visit since we were on holidays and we stopped by. Apparently they were here to look at base, and they recently discovered. Are you hurt? Irina said. No, I wasn't. Kiba was, but nothing but a few Phoenix tears couldn't fix, trying to make Joy ease her worry. But we did find something. Did you know that several of the Phoenix clan servants were missing? You could hear her sigh before she answered. Yeah, I heard about this some in the meetings, but not much else, since it was more matters of the demons. I tried to see what I could find for Raveltron if I had a mission, but came up empty-handed. Well, we found Riser's few pieces in the base, and we looked into something else, Issei said. That's relief. Raveltron must have been thrilled. Yeah, I'm about to meet her. What? So the factions know where you are, Irina said? Not quite. Yakuza-san contacted Sona, who I believe brought Riser with her. There's no detection of Gremory clan here, and I don't think Sona nor Riser would rat me out. That's a relief, Irina says, but it's time for me to stop hiding. Anyways, if there's a faction meeting about what he found, I'll likely be there. Gasper took a hard drive that we have yet to decipher, and see what's on it. They also had files in the single client in the underworld, and I think they made a super necromorph or something. It used magic. You fought one, Irina said. Yeah, we won. Don't worry. Even took off one of its arms. There were a few others, since I could detect them and their magic signatures. We didn't face them, though. The only one the others likely destroyed in the explosion of the base. I'd say we were lucky that we didn't have to overheat the reactors manually. At least you're safe, Irina says. Then Issei heard a female voice in the background made Irina groan in frustration. Duty calls, Issei said, chuckling at her frustration. Yeah, duty calls. And she let out a sigh. I guess I'll be able to see you now, huh? I'm sure the girls would love to meet you, Issei said. Yeah, I guess I can meet this Minerva myself and see who you say she is. Irina says, she is. And do I detect a twinge of jealousy in your voice? Irina could tell he was smiling when he asked her. Sorry, it's just, she calls you first wife, right? Yeah, I know, you've told me, but she gets to see you physically, hold you, kiss you, be intimate with you, and she let her sigh. It may be selfish, but I also want to be with you, and you will. I'm not hiding from anyone, okay? Issei said. Okay, Irina replies. Also, you and I need to talk about the grudge you have with Zenovia. Really? You're going to ruin our healthful movement by asking me about her, Irina says. No, we won't have to talk about her now, but we need to. I know. There was another yell from Irina's side of the phone that made Irina moan in annoyance. Issei could hear Irina yell something about him and seemed to please the other females that was with Irina. You still there? I never said goodbye, Issei said. True. My cousin still needs me, and she says hi too. Irina says, well, let her know that I said hi as well. I don't want you to get in any trouble. As if you didn't enough when we were children, Irina says, which made Issei laugh. You're probably right. I gotta go. Can we talk later? Irina says. We can always talk, Yuri-chan. Okay, say hi to the others for me, Irina replied. I will. I love you, darling, Irina sighs. There it was, the nickname that she would always call him, ever since they cuddled naked together before he left Ko. I love you, Issei said. He could hear a laugh a little. Bye, making a kissing sound to him. Bye, as they ended the call. Normally it would suck to end a call with one of his girls because he couldn't see them physically, the exception of being Kano, Orpheus, and Lilith. Even when he visited Kyoto. For the others, it would be roughly phone, sometimes a FaceTime, but knowing he didn't need to hide anymore made it worthwhile. Done with your sap fest? Drake says. Yes, for now. Talk to you later, Drake. Later, partner, Drake said. He had a smirk in his tone. It felt good that Issei didn't feel the need to hide anymore. He was proud of watching Issei build himself up the past 18 months. With the communication cut off, Issei headed to the dining hall to greet some old friends. In the dining hall, Yakuza and her guests were enjoying dinner. While Kiba and Gasper gave bits off the base, they didn't want to gross anyone out with grotesque figures of the necromorphs. Of course, for Kano and Lilith, they wanted to know how many their big brother killed. Of course, they were able to keep their mouths shut and not ruin the surprise of Issei to those who didn't know already, so you were able to carry off 3 of them if you were injured. Riser said, we had help. Gasper says, help? Ravel replied, my Oni-sama went with them. Kano says, you have a big brother. Since when? Ravel said while looking at Yakuza, who merely shrugged as they were not aware of the child. For a while, he should be coming soon, Kano said. Yakuza-san, your guest has arrived. Send him in. Yakuza said. The guards nodded and went back to speak with someone. When the door opened again, Lilith and Kano got out of their seats. Lilith and Kano as they ran towards Issei. Oni-sama! Issei did not get a chance to fully survey the room with shocked faces as he knelt down to give his little sisters a hug. Hey, you two. Were you good today? Yep. Don't lie to me, Lilith-chan. I heard you were sending magic attacks at Minerva. I thought we talked about last night. It made Lilith frown. She put her head down. We were playing Magic 10. She never tagged me, Minerva says. Her response made both Lilith and Issei look at Minerva simply sipped her wine. Is that true, Lilith-chan? Lilith turned back to Issei and nodded rapidly. It made Orpheus smile. She knew how Lilith looked up to Issei and didn't want to get in trouble with him. Lilith knew that would be another lecture that she didn't want to face. On the bright side, Mickey had a soft spot for Lilith, so she could use her now to evade those lectures, and now that Issei was willing to no longer hide from the factions. Alright, I'll let it slide for now, Issei says, rolling Willow's head, which made her smile again. No, she wasn't in trouble. Issei stood back up, and the two returned to their seats as he looked at everyone else in the room. His eyes scanned each face. Riser and Osperaz were in shock. Tsubaki and Sona had an impressed look on their faces. Rhea was blushing heavily, while Gasper and Kiba simply waved, and Yakuza had a smirk on her face. Hello, Issei said, giving a small wave. Hey, Ravel replied as she stood up abruptly, slammed her hands on the table. After 18 months of not seeing each other physically, and all you have to say is hey, Ravel says. That's the Tsunde attitude, Issei says, smiling to himself. When she stood up, he was able to get a good look at her. Ravel had grown taller since the last time they saw each other. Her bust was definitely bigger, despite being compacted by the school jacket that she was wearing. Her jewel-like hairstyle was still present and didn't mind it one bit. You look as beautiful as ever, Ravel Kyuchu. I'm glad our time apart didn't change you. Smiling at her directly, Ravel felt her heart skip a beat as she slumped to the floor in shock with a blush on her face, embarrassed as Issei had a way with words to shut her down the surrender attitude for a little while. She also liked being called president by him as well. Ravel's new look is great. Idiot, Ravel said. She bubbled as Issei simply laughed at her reaction. Riser got up and walked up to Issei, who had held a neutral face as he was stared back at Riser. The man hadn't changed much in appearance. It was surprising when Riser brought Issei in for a hug. Thank you, Riser said. Issei was a bit shocked by Riser showing some emotion and hugged the man back. It's good to see you too. How are they doing? Issei said, referring to the three pieces that they've rescued. They're unconscious. So far everything looks clean. At least from what I can see. I'm not a doctor, Riser says. We'll be taking them to the Citri Hospital as soon as possible. Just waiting for the confirmation from Sanji, Sona says. It's good to see you too, Sona. He turned to Tsubaki and gave her a bow. I'm sorry, Tsubaki-san. I was not good with detecting the necromorphs as they are dead. As a result, Kiba got hurt. I hope you can forgive me, Issei says. It's fine. There were Phoenix tears that helped with the healing process, and I believe your friend, gesturing to Immigold, helped cleaning the wound. Yes, Immigold-chan is our healer. While she may not have a sacred gear that allows her to do so, but she is still effective, Issei says. Immigold blushed at the praise. How are your parents doing? Sona says. Right now they're enjoying themselves in Hiyatako. I hate to interrupt, but you do realize you can sit down and talk, right, Issei? Yakuza says. Ah, sorry, Issei replied, as Riser had returned to his seat when he was apologizing to Tsubaki earlier. He looked around and realized that Lilith was actually sitting next to Minerva. Guess she was being good, Issei replied. He found a seat next to Gasper, but also sat next to Rhea. Hi, it's nice to see you again. He took his seat and was able to get a look at her. She was no longer had the twin braids. Now she had one. The shirt she wore showed was a good amount of cleavage that Issei did spare a quick glance. It was a good thing that he was already looking down, otherwise he would have been caught staring. Nice to see you, Rhea said. She could do a hide a little blush. How have you guys been? How about you, Rhea-san? This is I work at the Citri Hospital now. I also specialize in healing as well. Really? Issei said. That's awesome. I may have to ask Sona to borrow you. It would definitely take a long off of Immigold from having to heal all of my injuries. How's Tokyo? Rhea said. It's been good. I guess with me not really planning on hiding anymore, you guys can come and visit. What do you mean? We're not going to rat out Yakuza. Someone won't either, Sona says. I know. But there is likely going to be a faction meeting and I need to be there and know who the enemy is. I kinda haven't been doing that. What do you mean? Sona says. He means that he finds a base, goes in, and takes anyone or anything that's in there, destroys the base, and moves on to the next, Minerva says. So you're telling us that you have been base hopping without looking for any information about the threat that you're dealing with, Tsubaki says. I was kind of hoping one of you guys would tell me, shrugging his shoulders. It made Sona and Tsubaki sweat drop as they realized that Issei can still be as reckless as ever and charged headfirst into the enemy territory without a care. Yakuza simply chuckled at the recklessness, while Kyoto giggled at Issei's response. So you probably got the most experience fighting these things, huh? Riser said. Maybe. According to Kiba and Gasper, the factions have already seen some of my work. Some of your... Wait. There were reports of some bases being charred. That was you then, huh? Sona says. Uh-huh, Issei replied. You took the bases filled with these creeps, Ravel said. Sometimes with Minerva and Immigold-chan needed to fight, something that get Immigold prepared for combat. She was scared at first and still is. If you were able to take on bases full of necromorphs, the factions are going to want you to lead their troops on the mission, Sona said. Yeah, well, I'm free, and I don't do anything for free either. Everything comes with a price. I learned that the hard way, Issei said. Most people knew what he was referring to. As perverted, nature cost him people who claimed to love him, but it was just a fickle. They just saw him as a jester. He got cheated on and humiliated by those people behind his back. While some were trying to atone, others didn't think much of it, and he thought he would get over the decision. Well, he did get over it, and got away from them, cutting ties. He was only willing to talk to those that accepted their mistake. It's why he knew when he goes to the upcoming faction meeting, he would be tolerable with some of them. He would not be surprised if others tried to provoke him. Oh, Yakuza-san, we found one of Ryoga's men. He became one of them, but he didn't see any sign of Ryoga. Issei said, I see. This is troubling. Yakuza said, one of yours, I assume? Sona says, yes, Ryoga was one of my commanders. Onisama, how many of them did you get this time? Oh, I wasn't counting. Sorry, Kano-san, but if it makes you feel any better, it was more than 5. Gasper and Kiba said you discovered a new necromorph. Yeah, we did. This one was enhanced. I can't normally detect the necromorphs, and none of us can, but because they're dead. But this one, it had a magnet signature. We thought it may be one of the soldiers of the Chaos Brigade, but when the Kiva and I got through the door, we realized that it was a necromorph. But if it has a magnet signature, it was able to use magic, Kiba said. Regular magic, but it felt twisted. Normally I could handle a fire attack, but the fire it was using, I wanted nothing to do with it. Issei said, it also moved much faster than a regular necromorph. We were able to defeat it and take its arms and for studying. That's good. Maybe the factions can find a way to counter them, Rhea said. Maybe. But what troubles me is those files of clans of the underworld. If the necromorph could use magic, think about it. Each clan has a special ability. If they were able to get a necromorph to use magic, imagine a necromorph with, for example, the power of destruction, Issei said, or the Phoenix clan's regeneration. Sadly, I think they already succeeded in that. What do you mean? It would make sense. Remember the demon that came back and claimed that the necromorph kept coming back and hunted them down before he escaped? So, we all considered him senile and he committed suicide, Sona said. Well, considering how long your pieces have been missing, it is possible that they could have extracted some of your power from the pieces and used that to power the necromorph, making one that will always come back. At this, everyone's eyes widened at the possible theory. Does Trihexa say anything about when Kiba and Gasper need to be back, Sona? Issei said. He told them that they could stay here until the meeting. Kiba can stay, but I need to go. I have to give what I found to Ajuka-sama. If what Issei-senpai is true, it is possible that the enhanced necromorph we faced has one of the clan's powers in it. If he can dissect it, we may know which clan, considering the files they have on every clan, Gasper said. I suggest you head back and transport the survivors back to the underworld. Gasper, make sure they dissect the infector as well. If any of that blood is in Riser's pieces, they have to be terminated, Issei said. This brought a gasp out of horror, and Riser's became furious, slamming his fist on the ground. Are you insane? I'm not going to terminate my pieces, Riser said. Then let's hope their blood comes back clean, because an infector is capable of turning anyone, living or dead, into a necromorph. Maybe if they dissect the infector that we caught, they can cure the others or something, Issei said. A ping went off, and Sona checked her phone and gazed at hardened. I just got information from Sanji. We can move to them to the C-Tree Hospital, Sona said. Then finish dinner, and then we can prepare to head out. Riser, I'd like to talk to you about something as well. Fine, let's just eat first, Riser said. I'd like my pieces to be confirmed as safe as soon as possible. He was still a bit agitated about Issei to terminate them. Very well, Issei replied. They continued on. Issei spoke of his adventures and training, and even asked to keep quiet to Rosvitsa about knowing of her promotion. Sona noted that things happening in the underworld. Rhea spoke to her tutelage and under Rosvitsa, which Sona noted how her expertise had helped knowing those in her academy. It made Issei proud that Sona was able to achieve her dream while also managing the hospitals of her family. Luckily, she had her Parage to help out. Riser mentions his upcoming wedding to Yubaluna. The mention of the wedding reminded Issei of what a guy asked Ryer before he left they could speak privately. This piqued many people's interest. Only Kiba and Gasper knew what he wanted to talk about with the Phoenix. Rabble spoke about her presidency, which impressed Issei, and he gave credit to Sona because it was her that made Bosanovia and Ravel understand the importance of the role. Issei also asked Sona how Sanji lost to Irina, something he mentally slapped himself for forgetting to ask her when he was on the phone with her. The question made C-Tree Harris blush, and Riser bursted out laughing, and Ravel and his Parage laughed as well. You mean she didn't tell you? That angel of yours is something else. Let's just say it was less than ideal. It would make you laugh, but I don't really want to talk about, Sona said. Let's just say it made the prison dragon a little more popular. Could be a good or bad, depending on how you look on it, Riser said. Huh? Guess I'll have to ask Yuri-chan when I see her. You better pin her down. When you do, she has nowhere to go, Riser said. Since Issei was not looking at him, but pondering, twirling the necklace that Irina gave him, he never saw Riser's perverted smile when he said this. He also did not see several girls blushing, and Minerva licked her lips in invitation. Not a bad idea, Issei said. Riser, that way she'll have to tell me. Genshiro won't talk about it. When I ask him from your reactions, it doesn't look like any of you will tell me either. Irina-sama made us promise not to tell you, and that she would. And unlike some demons, we have honor, so no, we will not tell you, Issei-sama, Ravel said. Fair enough, Issei replied, as they finished eating and headed back to the medical wing. When Issei looked at the unconscious pieces, they were stabilized. Issei asked to look at their blood work and couldn't really see any anomalies. Sona said that she'd recheck at their hospital as they have previous records. It still made Riser, Ravel, and his Parage feel a little less worried, and they may not have to kill them. As the girls were preparing to be transported, the visitors began to say their goodbyes. Thank you for the hospitality, Yakuza, Sona says. It's not an issue. After all, we are allies. Sona nearly nodded. Meanwhile, Ravel asked Ivigold what her specialty was because she felt uneasy about the Leviathan. When Ivigold told her that it was water magic, Ravel merely grimaced. Now that she knew why she didn't like the Leviathan, as they used the opposite elemental magic. That did not settle well with her. While the girls conversed and Tsubaki talked with Kiba and Gaspar, Issei pulled Riser off to the side. So what did you want to talk about? Riser said. Well, there's going to be a faction meeting, and I was wondering if you could get me in a meeting with your parents. Issei said. You could have just asked Ravel as well to do that. No need for the secrecy. That's the thing. It's about Ravel, you see. I'm more of a traditionalist, Issei says. And, Riser said. Issei simply let out a sigh from a magic circle and produced a ring box. He had a feeling that it was possible that Minerva or Ivigold may snoop, so he placed the rings in his personal storage dimension before he left for the mission. Riser's eyes widened as he caught what Issei meant about that. No, wait, it may I, Riser said, to which Issei nodded. Riser opened the box to reveal a diamond ring. It was in the shape of a pteropod. Damn, I'll definitely get you that meeting, but why a teardrop? Riser said. Did you already forget what your family is known for? Issei said. He deadpanned as Riser caught on. Ah, our phoenix tears. Now it makes sense. That's why you put a teardrop. You mind if I tell Revel about this? You would be thrilled as she's someone at least. There may have not some visible suitors, if you kept my drift, Riser says. I understand. Another reason why I'm not afraid to hide anymore is because I don't care about those old guys on the council say. Issei said, Ha! You know, the council actually respects you. They mock the Gremory for what she did, noting how she chose a weak suitor, and don't get me wrong. While he did get stronger, it doesn't look like you were lazing around either. You would be giving them more ammunition to insult the Gremory for stupidity because according to them, her only strong piece is Kiba since you left. The Valkyrie got traded and the blue-haired chick got disowned, but I hear she's doing better. Ravel talks with her from time to time, Riser said. Guess she's not much of that in her head after all, Issei said. As the two shared a laugh. I need to go. I'll let you know what my parents say, Riser said. Issei nodded as he put the ring away and they walked back to the others, who noticed them coming. Now that we're all clear, we can get going, Issei. It was nice to see you again. So they said, you too. And tell Cyrano that I said hi, of course. Do it in secret. He was aware that the Mao was not aware of what happened between him and the girls, Issei said. He would not fault her while he had held a grudge. He talked about it with Sona and realized that he was projecting on others that likely innocent from the ordeal. He also missed his cheerful big sister. She could possibly teach Ivigold how to involve her water magic like she did. I'm sure she would like that, Sona said with a smile. Tsubaki, you could spend some time with Kiba. Rhea and I will go back to the underworld. Issei slightly frowned at this, which Rhea noticed his change of demeanor, and it made her a little happy. For Issei, he would have liked to spend some time with Rhea and get to know her a little better, considering he didn't get to do it from before. However, both understood the reason why she needed to go, so Rhea wasn't sad about leaving, since she knew that she could see him again. It was nice to see you again, Issei-kun, Rhea said, giving him a hug while she kissed him on the cheek, but it was much closer to the corner of his lips. You too. I love your new hairstyle, Issei said, reciprocating the hug as he whispered in her ear, but couldn't help but notice what was pressing against his chest. Wow, they feel nice, Issei said. I wonder what she's like in bed, Minerva says. as she was also checking out the woman that would be interested in Issei, specifically Rhea and Ravel, but still kept her eye out for Yakuza as well. After all, the woman did flirt with Issei before in the past. However, despite her paranoia and sometimes Yakuza's amusement, Yakuza only sees Issei as her son and part of her family. I would love to stay and catch up, but then they would get suspicious. Let them. Issei said, huh? He's right, Ravel. Let them get suspicious. Besides, he's already going to reveal himself anyways. So, stay. I'll let our parents know that I'm sure Mira, Nell, and Illa would understand as well. Thank you, Onisama, giving Riser a hug. Ravel says, looks like you girls get to spend the night with me, which Kono groaned about because she wanted to hear how Issei killed the necromorphs on the base. I think that's a good idea. Maybe Minerva could enjoy sleeping with Lilith tonight, since you two have gotten to get along. Minerva and Lilith frowned at the thought. Lilith would be with Onisama. Well, she enjoyed Minerva teleporting her attack. She was not that close with her, with the witch. It doesn't matter to me, Orpheus says. Lovely. It just means if Gold-chan that I can go to our room together again, putting her arm around the Leviathan's shoulders. Invigold forced a smile. She knew that Minerva was clearly checking out Rhea, and Ravel was likely aroused. She did not want to deal with a horny Minerva tonight, but it didn't look like she had that much luck. I hope I brought the strap on, Immigold says. Like I said at dinner, I'll be heading back. I need to give Ajuka the things we got. You think I can head to the enhanced slasher? You think I can keep the head of the enhanced slasher? This raised some eyebrows. What? I've been categorizing them. The most common ones are slashers. Face enhanced one. Your categorization of the necromorphs would be helpful, Issei, Sona says. Definitely would help to how to counter them as well. I'll talk with Ajuka about from what I know, but Gasper? I'll ask Ajuka-sama about it. As he stepped towards Sona, Rhea, Riser, and his barrage. Well, later then. Tell Jen I said hi. Issei said, tell him yourself, Sona said, with a smirk as he transported the group around the unconscious pieces of the underworld. Alright, girls, time to get ready, Yakuza said. Kono replied. I'll tell some stories in the morning, Kano-chan. Okay, come on, Lolo-chan. As both the girls began to walk off. You'll have a wonderful night. It's likely I'll be hearing from the faction soon. Shall we? Orpheus, Yakuza-san said. Sure, good night, as they followed after Lilith and Kano. Good night, waving them goodbye. Oh, Minerva, do you think you can do something with this? Issei said. He summoned the enhanced slasher arm that he took. The flesh of it was mostly burned, but the blade was still very much intact. Think you can use this to upgrade our weapons? Issei said. I'll see what I can do, and I should have your stasis ready. I could use them as a test run with the slasher blade, but you will be without weapons a little bit. I don't think there will be any base hunting for a while, so go for it, as he summoned the two Ascalons and gave them to Minerva as well. I think I might have something that you could use. It was a couple of gifts for you, Issei-sama, from Tobio's team. Slash Dog, Ravel said. Really? Nice, you can show it to me later, Issei said. As Minerva stored the weapons away, I think you can introduce yourself properly to Minerva and Immigold, and the girls can introduce yourself to Ravel-chan. I don't think she likes me much, Immigold says, as Ravel grimaced at being called out. Understandable. You girls use opposite elemental magic. I think it'll be a start of a new friendship, laughing as he begins to walk towards the room. Minerva chuckled, shrugged her shoulders, and walked after him. Ravel and Immigold stared at them before looking at each other. Immigold gave a nervous ways, and Ravel just sighed. Come on, Ravel said, following after Issei and Minerva, with Immigold following behind her. I think we can be friends. Immigold says, yeah, there are some questions that I have to ask you anyways, Ravel said. I figured you've been looking at me quizzically since dinner. Damn, I thought I was being subtle. Not to me. Which Ravel let out another sigh. Now we're in the underworld in the Sea-Tree Hospital. Sono appeared with Riser, Rhea, Gasper, Riser, and his barrage. The staff was a bit shocked by the sudden appearance. It didn't take long for Sono to start barking orders. Someone go get the mouse and the Phoenix Patriots, Rhea. Escort her patrons to the room that Sanji secured, Sono said. Sona-sama, Momo said, running towards them. You're here. Hello, Momo. Please help Rhea with the unconscious patients. Yes, ma'am. Hey, Gasper. Before she looked at the Riser's pieces, wow, you really did find them, Momo said. Hello, Momo-senpai, and yes, we did, with a little help. Gasper said, really? They must have been something if they could help you guys find Risers. Yes, they sure were. Gasper-kun, Tomo said, coming out of nowhere, hugging Gasper into her chest. You came back. You're not hurt, are you? Tomo, he can't answer you if he can't breathe, pointing at the red-necked knight's cleavage where Gasper's head was firmly placed, although his body was flailing a bit. Oh, sorry, Gasper-kun, as she released the head, allowing him to step back and take a couple of deep breaths. Wow, I can understand why Issei-senpai enjoyed Oppai so much. He was flustered while being caught in her embrace. It's because Tomo-senpai, you caught me off guard, but I'm okay. That's good. Sona, Serafall says. She raced down to her sister, who was instructing people with Genshiro right behind her. Hey, babe, Sanji says, kissing Sona on the cheek. When he reached her was Tsubaki. Onisama, Gensen posting her instructions. Tsubaki stayed in Kyoto with Kiba. He was injured, but the yokai were able to get him healed. They had some phoenix tears, Sona said. That's good. We met Rhea-chan. She was escorting Riser's pieces. I can't believe they found him, Serafall said. Yeah, they had help from an old friend, Sona said. Sanji started. Old friend? You don't mean. As he stated his fiancée, that's right, Onisama. Getting Serafall's attention, Issei says hi. Issei-chan, her eyes wide in shock. He's okay? He's fine, right? Serafall says, oh man. So glad he could help out. Sanji said, we should go to Kyoto to see him. I wasn't aware that it was happening that night. How could I leave my Oto-chan to fend for himself? Serafall says, relax, Oni-chama. He's not mad at you anymore. He knows you're not to blame. And no, we will not go to Kyoto because he's coming here. Huh? Serafall says, really? When? The faction meeting. You remember some of these bases that had found or burned? Yeah, we wouldn't get any information out of them if things were burned to a crisp. That was the work of Issei. Shocked at the two even more. He's done hiding. He's faced multiple types of necromorphs as well. Categorized them. We're going to need his help. But will he help us? Serafall said. Everything has a price. We already owe him from the celebration of the Trihexa's defeat. Sona says, I figured he won't do it for free. Sanji said, besides, he's got friends on his side. I don't think he would be ordered around by anyone. If he's going to help, it's going to be on his terms. Yes, Issei could handle those bases on his own, while we lost troops. If we could lead Kiba and Gasper in and out of this new base, which is now destroyed as well, who knows what he can do? I still can't believe Yakuza-sama was hiding my own brother from me, Serafall said. Well, remember, Onisama, he thought you were to blame. Plus, apparently, he formed a new type of relationship with Yakuza-sama. She's been sleeping with him already? Serafall says. No, it's more familitic than romantic. He visits Kyoto every 2 months to see Kano and Lilith and Orphis if she's there. And she was this time. They were on break for school, so we made a special surprise visit while his parents were in Hiato. Oh, we should go there sometimes when all of this is over, Genshiro said. I'd like that, Sona said, smiling at him. Oh, it's Gasper. Seeing Gasper talking to Momo and Tomo. Be right back. Hey, Gasper, Sanji said. Huh? Gasper replied. Good to see you. Ike's safe. I hear Issei's back in town, coming over and wrapping his arm. He's back, Momo says. No way. No way, there was help that you were talking about, Tomo said. Oh shit, I thought you already told him. Sona just told me, sorry. It's fine, but yes, Issei-senpai was our help. He came when Yakuza-sama was briefing us about the base. We got to meet his new girlfriends, Gasper said. Girlfriends? Man, Rhea must have been sad about that. I don't think so. They sat next to each other at dinner and she liked them. Issei-senpai joked about taking her onto his team because he would like a healer. Oh, that's good. Still has a chance then, Tomo says. I think she always had a chance, but one of his girlfriends helped me with using my shadows. So you got a little stronger then, Sanji said. Not as strong as you, Gen-senpai. And he knows how you lost to Irina-senpai, but don't worry, he doesn't know how you lost. As Momo and Tomo were giggling, and Momo slightly nudged her hip under Genshiro as he blushed. Oh, thank goodness, Sanji said. Yeah, but utilizing my shadows, we were able to capture the necromorph, able to freeze it to contain it. Issei-senpai called it an infector. You actually caught one? Sona was telling me Issei categorized necromorphs. He's definitely faced multiple ones, Sanji said. Yeah, we faced one that could use magic. What? Momo, Tomo, and Sanji said at the same time, but didn't raise their volume as they were in the hospital. I know. We also found files on the clans in the underworld. Issei-senpai thinks that whoever is doing this was able to implant the abilities of the clans into them. Do you remember that demon that was haunted by the necromorph that kept coming back? Yeah, dude killed himself from the trauma, Genshiro said. If what Issei-senpai thinks is true, then the soldier wasn't wrong. There's a necromorph that can regenerate like the Phoenix clan. Oh no, Tomo said. Is that why Razor's pieces were kidnapped? Most likely. Dang, this shit just got harder, Sanji said. Yeah. A magic circle appeared in the hospital lobby as Sirzex, along with Juka and the Gremory Parage, appeared. Ezra-kun, you're alright. Why couldn't you report? Sirzex says, upon seeing the Daphmir. Lucifer-sama, giving a bow. We couldn't report due to the base preventing us from doing so. I was told that you may have some information on us. Juka? says, not only that, we captured one of the necromorphs. It's a small one, but it's dangerous. You're serious? Sirzex says. This would help us in understanding them as their physical weakness. Indeed. Excellent work, Gasper. Seems we're all here, Serafal says, as she walked towards the others with Sona. Hello, Lucifer Sama, Beelzebub Sama, Sona says. Hello, Sona-san, Serafal-san, hello. So you brought them, Sirzex says? Yes, they found them all right. The yokai doctors kept them stable, so they were unconscious but alive. We're running some blood work, Sona says. Thank goodness, Sirzex replies. The other leaders are willing to meet in a few days as well, Serafal says. Excellent. Oh, and before I forgot, how is Kiba? Sirzex says. He's fine now. Lucifer somebody got cut up on his side, but they were at Phoenix Tears when we got back. I only came back to the other hand, the hard drive, files, and the frozen necromorph to Beelzebub, Gasper says. May I go see them? Sirzex says. Yes. Tomo, please escort Lucifer Sama to the room where we're keeping Riser's pieces. Another magic circle came through, and Lord and Lady Phoenix along with Rebel Phoenix appeared. Perfect timing. Before the Patriots could say anything, Tomo also escorted the Phoenix clan as well. Right away. Turning to the visitors, if you will follow me, please. Sir Zex, Lord, and Lady Phoenix. And Rebel followed the Sea Tree Knight as Sir Zex began to relay them to what Sona told them. Let Ajuka and Grimmery, Paraj, Momo, Asanji, Sona, Serafal, and Gasper in the lobby. Gasper, I will prep up to the lab to go over your findings. Come to me when you can. Oh, I'll join you, Serafal said. She wanted to speak to him about Issei and felt that she could trust Ajuka with the information, unaware that Ajuka knew about Issei since Grafia brought Issei's pieces to him and she explained the situation to him. Very well, but he was inwardly groaning, but noted Serafal's attitude. She was a little more happier than usual. I wonder why, and we'll have to inform Falbium about the meeting if he still isn't sleeping. As the two mouths left the hospital, with no others around, the Grummery Paraj felt as nervous as everyone else simply stared at them. Well, Sona says, sorry, we just wanted to see if they were all right. It's good to have you back, Gasper, Rhys said, smiling at the Daphne. Thank you, Grummery-senpai, Gasper said, with a small smile out of courtesy. Glad to see you're okay, Gaspy, Konako said. Yeah, we're good. He didn't reciprocate the hug. However, while holding him, Konako's eyes opened as she felt something. This scent on Gaspy, it's familiar. It's familiar to senpais, but it can't be. She didn't want to alert the Sea Tree, who were watching about the possible discovery. I'll have to let the others know, Konako said. It's nice to see you, okay, Gasper-san? Azia said, thank you. We were a little startled at first, and still are. Well, you're more than welcome to the Grummery Mansion to relax with us, since Kiba is not there, Akano said. That's not a bad idea, and you wouldn't be the only guy there either, Azia said. You are technically still a part of this Grummery Paraj, so you're always welcome, Rhea says. Thanks, but I have to head to Ajuka's lab right now, and give him what I have. Maybe I'll see Ladia-san and Sikivaria-san there too. See you later. As he made a magic circle to leave. Although it was not a rejection, Rhea slightly grimaced at the denial once again, seeing how the relationships were soured. Another reason was that she didn't really like Latina all that much. It was bad enough dealing with Dodoria, trying to take Azia despite the Latia apologizing to Azia on the behalf of her clan. Rias didn't trust her. She wasn't thrilled about Sikivira either because that's the one who she traded Ross Visa to, and when Ross Visa got promoted, Sikivira got the credit, even though a majority of Ross Visa's accomplishments were when she was a part of the Grandma's Paraj. Add in Zenobia, who is now Ross Visa's knight after being let go abruptly. She knew that she needed to apologize to the former exorcist, but her pride wouldn't let her. We'll begin heading to see Riser. Do you want to come? Sona said. She knew Rias would not feel comfortable in the same room as Riser. No, it's fine. Just glad that they're all in one piece, Rias said. Sona gave a nod as she, Momo, Sanchi left the lobby and the Grummery Paraj began to leave the hospital. Rias-senpai, Konako said. What is it, Konako? When I hugged Gaspy, I detected a scent. It was familiar. It was probably Kibo-san or even maybe Nyakusa. They were near him. But none of them are dragons, Konako said. This made all of them stop walking and look at the Nekomata. What do you mean by that? Rias says. It could be Orpheus or Lilith-san. They're dragons and stay in Kyoto, Azia said. That is true, Aki replied. Yes, I hear that Kino-chan has also developed some sort of dragon fire due to being in contact with them. Maybe this one felt like senpais. This made the rest of them stiffen as they remembered what happened. They didn't really regret it much. After all, their new boyfriends treated them well, though it was more costly for some than the others. For Azia, she lost both Fafnir and Rossi, so they had to get a new familiar. She was mad about the dragons turned on her, not understanding as she had turned on one of them first. It was something that Fafnir told her when he left, stating that he better go before she stabs him in the back first. It was already really embarrassing that everyone knew she wasn't a virgin thanks to Fafnir, stating that how he didn't want her semen covered in panties when she tried offering them to him. At least she had her friend, Akia, with her to let some skinny things in the room with her and Lunar. Thanks to Akia's perverted experience, it led to becoming thorough, although Ozzy never realized how hypocritical she was for accepting Akia as a pervert but not Issei. For Akano, she lost her strongest ability, which was her Holy Lightning Dragon move. She didn't realize how much of an influence Issei was, or rather the dragons were. It was very anticlimactic when she tried to use the move in the raiding game and nothing came. She got eliminated in the next 30 seconds. Her father was baffled as well. They tried training to get the move again, but nothing. Barkyul quickly got over Akano's cheating and accepted her new man, Arion, rather well, who joined in their training sessions. It was Azazel who gave him the bad news that she would never learn the move again, unless she was with someone that had draconic presence. Sadly, no dragon wanted anything to do with her. They asked Volley. He simply laughed in their face. They asked Sanji, who promptly said no. Orpheus restrained Lilith and told them no, and Tani just growled, infuriating Barkyul, which Azazel tried to stop him. Tani marked Barkyul that he wouldn't have a daughter if it wasn't for Issei after Barkyul insulted the Red Dragon Emperor. To make it worse, Azazel agreed the former Dragon King and apologized to Tanin for the disturbance. That spat strained the friendship with Azazel and Barkyul, who was annoyed and agreed with Akano's reasons for leaving Issei. Azazel told Barkyul that he was delusional. Azazel understood that Esau's relationship with Volley also strained as well. He wondered if Issei was still there. They may not have lost a good chunk of the fallen angels to the necromorphs. Konako had a relationship with Kuroko strained once again. Once Kuroko had a talk with her, after Kuroko learned what she did, Kuroko felt guilty, and Volley and the rest of her team let her have it. It did lead to physical altercation between the two Nekoshus, which Kuroko showed how wide the gap was in using Senjutsu between. It was ironic. Konako mocked Kuroko that she did the same thing, but Kuroko refuted that she did not confess to Issei like Konako did, and does not regret not doing so. It was ironic that the person that brought them together is the same person that is tearing them apart. When Konako mocked Issei's perversion, like Fafnir, Kuroko said that Konako should drop her too, since Kuroko was a bit perverted herself. So Konako did. She also did the same with Zenobia, who was similar to Kuroko, so she didn't mind throwing the knight's things out of the house. After Lunar betrayed Zenobia, though she trusted Asia's judgment, after the truth was revealed, she considered apologizing, but the damage had already been done. At least she still had her boyfriend, August, by her side. I see. But it could be the new Red Dragon Emperor, Rias said. They were unaware that the boosted gear never changed users, as Michael only informed the leaders on this information. True, Drake wasn't so fond of the Opie dragon name either, so he could have found a new way to leave him, Akano said. We'll keep this to ourselves. If possible, maybe they can join our barrage. We need the offensive power, though Kiba may not like it, but he will have to get over it. She was a bit bitter that Kiba didn't want to see her, not knowing that it was a lie on Sono's part. Azia, Akano, Konako, and Akano. Hi, as they walked away from the hospital and enjoyed the downtown scenery before they went back to the Gremory mansion. They did not notice the black cat in the tree listening to their conversation, and when the cat was gone, the cat transformed to reveal Kuroko herself. She sat on the branch and pondered what she heard. A new Red Dragon Emperor? That can't be right, Kuroko said. She had to wonder if it was true, because according to Volley a year ago, he did not find Issei when they felt Orpheus or Lilith was popping around the Tokyo area. Now that she wasn't sure, she knew that he was heading to Kyoto to train Kono. She felt like she needed an apprentice to look how Marguerite took her under her wing to teach. It would have been Konako, but after learning what she did, she felt guilty for not correcting her sister sooner that night and not flirting around. The arguments for a new Red Dragon Emperor did make sense, as Albion was disappointed in the Butt Dragon's name, and she knew dragons had pride, but also honor. Would Drake really leave over someone like a silly name? Albion didn't leave Volley, but it was understandable. Volley had the blood of Lucifer. Issei didn't have anything before he died at the hands of Shalba, who used Samuel's poison. Drake could have left then, but he didn't, as Issei returned with the boosted gear. I'll have to talk to Volley about this. I'm sure Albion would know if what they said was possible, as they made a teleportation circle to head back to Volley's team's headquarters in the Pentadragon Mare. And that is the end of chapter 10. My god, was that so incredibly long. Hopefully you guys did enjoy that whole entire episode. I'm not even gonna, please become a channel member. Donations are extremely welcomed. I'm broke, so that'd be absolutely amazing. Thank you for the support. Let's try to hit 300 and 400 likes. I'm not even gonna waste the time. Your boy is tired. I'm gonna go to sleep. Without any further intrusions, ladies and gentlemen, Spark Tanic Arts DXD out.